I think it's like the second one now without you, so I don't know how to start it. I'd ask you how you're doing, but I already know how you're doing. You're doing well. Welcome, Red Morning. We're talking about male spaces, and I am creatively bankrupt, so I got lazy. Rule Zero is going to be on this channel, and we're also going to talk about male spaces. I ain't doing two goddamn topics.
Yeah, good to see that you're not phoning it in there, man. I'm
No,
really
no, no.
glad to see you're working hard.
I am. You know what? I am working hard, and that's why I can't think of another idea. I mean, I was gonna do another Gym Tan laundry episode, but I knew for a fact you wouldn't be here for that one.
No,
But
like,
oh, go.
I like the idea of gym tan laundry. It's something everyone needs to get on, but I think there's only so much you can say about it before it gets lame. Like, okay, you need to go to the gym. Okay, you need to get a decent tan. Okay, you need to wash your Like, are we gonna do a show on like how to sort your delicates?
Well, that was wasn't that the alternative one to this? If I didn't come up with a better idea,
That would actually be kind of fun, like laundry day with Ryan. Just have you up there washing all your shirts and me trash talking all your shirts.
dude, you're joking. But like a husbandry episode, oh, dude, I crushed that shit. Be like basic training all over again. This is how you iron clothes. This is how you fold socks. This is how you sweep the floor. This is how you scrub a toilet. I've done this 1,000 times. I know what I'm doing. Here's how you
Christ, man.
shave. Cut your
It's
nails.
kind of funny, but like half my style is essentially worked around not having to iron shirts.
It is now, but I still like the every now and then. I still iron. I have fun. It's like relaxing.
Oh, you have to if you're wearing a suit with a tie, but it's just I kind of work my way around that because I used to have to iron like 14 shirts a week.
Oh, all right, yeah, fair enough. It's like
Because
wasn't it like cooking, where you like it
well,
until you have to do it for a living?
yeah, pretty much. It was just one of those times where, you're at work and then you're going out with clients in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to go with the same shirt I've been wearing all fucking day and then go out drinking. So burn through like two shirts a day.
I guess so. I don't know. Whatever. I find when it's casual shirts, I don't mind not ironing them as long as they don't have that. You know where they're so wrinkled in the middle that the buttons kind of open up and you can see your chest coming through it. As long as it's not
Yeah,
that
yeah.
bad, I can live with it. Like a couple collar stays will hold it in place, but
Yeah, unlike what Dante's saying, I still haven't found a non-iron shirt. Every shirt needs to be ironed, even if they say don't iron.
100% agree. I always wonder what is it they do to those ones again? They just add rayon, or they just try to make them full of too much polyester so that way they don't wrinkle, or like I always have to
I
iron
don't,
them, and they always a pain in
I
the
don't
ass to
know,
iron.
and I kind of refuse to wear polyester.
Smart man. That's 1970s leisure suit wear. I'm gonna call
Oh,
that
it's
one
more
leisure suit
like,
PUA. That's the title of this section.
like I just never found like if you wear a 100% polyester shirt, you're basically slow cooking yourself.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. I don't like the feel of it either. Like I really do enjoy the feel of cotton, even shitty cotton. I'll take over polyester. One sec here. Quick D Digital. Thank you for the super chat. What's that say? Focus on yourself. I like that. Thank you for the super chat. And Baron, this is something I never thought I would see. I found your ironing episode to be helpful. Thank you very much.
Oh, you actually did an ironing episode?
Yeah, it was one of my red pilled coffees where I talk about something that's not ironing, but I iron while I do it, and then I added some funky music to it and show you how to fold some shirts. It did okay, but I was like,
Yeah, like,
"There's no way." Like, all the guys need this, but nobody wants to watch it.
but dude, like, imagine if I told you like 5 years ago that you'd be making a living just doing chores and filming it.
Oh, dude, I'd have called you an idiot. I've I've one of those lives where, like, every 5 years, if you told me what I'd be doing 5 years from now, I would have called you a moron.
Fair enough.
But I guess that's a good thing, good and bad. I mean, you at least you've kind of like stuck with your thing for a while, and now you're kind of like upper echelon, upper income. I keep bouncing from thing to thing to thing. They say millennials are supposed to have 7 careers by the time they turn 50, and I'm trying to get them all out of the way on the front end. I don't know.
Fair enough. So when you're like 40, you're like, I've had my seven, I'm retired.
Yeah,
Hey, you
basically.
already... No, you didn't turn 40 yet.
I keep that one rather vague. All I tell people is I'm just a first generation millennial, and they can do the math
Fair
themselves.
enough.
But that's me. I try to keep personal and professional separate. I don't have the benefit of you where it's like you can put on the mask and then nobody knows who you are.
Well, that's kind of why I like it. And the good thing with the mask, too, is I had a long period where I thought about going public. And the main reason I decided against it was just because when you're anonymous, people can't attack your character, so they have to attack your content.
It's just true.
And most people in the manosphere are too lazy to actually read shit.
Oh yeah, so there's literally nothing they can say to you or about you other than you're anonymous. That's the only attack vector.
Yeah, and it's a funny one too. It's like
Dude,
whenever someone goes with that, hey, you're anonymous. Well, why don't you post your credit card number and your passport, please?
Dude, I love those. It's like every 3 months that argument comes out, like the in real life I got skin in the game types versus I'm anonymous and my content is better stuff. And they always try to play it off like the anonymous guys are sincere and authentic, and the non-anonymous guys are sincere and non-authentic. And I think like we're the black and white cookie. But more so is I always name like half a dozen assholes that are either anonymous or not that are still grifting the fuck out of people. So it seems almost tangential to whether anything is useful or not.
Well, that was kind of what my early days in the Manosphere used to be. Like, in that social space, the only thing that mattered was how good are your field reports and does it actually work for people. Mm-hmm. And I still think that's the best way of judging content.
Oh, easily.
I mean, there's an element of presentation to it, and I can name a couple of guys who are grifting the fuck out of the space and are good at presentation.
Thank you.
But but at the same time, like, you don't really need to know who's bringing you the content or, you know, what their background is, as long as it works and as long as it's well written or well produced and you have all the source references in there.
Yeah. I like the framing too, because I find this is the thing I've found that bugs me so much about it now. There's like the Swiss watch manosphere that treat women like a Swiss watch, and like, here's her parts this and here's her parts that, and if you twist this thing it does that, and they're treating women like a fucking jigsaw puzzle. And I find those are the ones that, no matter how good their presentation, how smart they sound, it's just fundamentally bad. It's like, I much prefer the ones that tell you, like how you do with your gendernomics, gendernomics 2. This is the things that you need to do to get success, as opposed to, this is how you can figure out them, and then you can work your perfect plan. And I don't like it. It's too, like, I can see why they say everything's about putting pussy on a pedestal if all you're doing is talking about a sea master with a fucking vagina, right?
And I kind of think of it like, if you think about like law or academic writing or accounting, yes, you can tell the difference between someone who's good at it and someone who isn't, but ideally, you shouldn't need to know who wrote something in order to see if it's valid or not.
And I'll put this as the counterpoint. Before Rollo started doing his in real life stuff, think about how many guys were using Rational Mail as like the research for their content and how accurate or how inaccurate it was. So while you're right, it should. I just find in practice, I don't think people that try to do the self-help shit and read Rational Mail from their car, I don't think they even read it. I don't think they research it. I don't think they know what they're talking about. I think they just take the catchiest phrases out of it and repeat it.
And I think the only reason why you'd need to know someone's identity is if they have some kind of angle on it.
Yeah.
And by that, I don't mean that it's a simple angle, like I'm selling you this, I'm giving you this content for money. It's not an angle in that sense. That's just a business interest. But let's say someone went out and started writing paper articles about how tobacco is good for you. It's kind of useful to know that that fucker's working for tobacco companies.
The freedom sticks for chicks. All right, fair enough. Sorry, keep finishing. I was
yeah, like
ramble.
at the same time though, like in this space, I don't see that as irrelevant because like, what angle do I have? Like, I'm hired by Soros to end the West. Is that some kind of angle I'm supposed to have, or what?
I know. Well, I hate that shit too. The trads love that they're coming to take your kids attitude. It's like, dude, buttfuck from Idaho. Like, no rich billionaire is trying to subvert you. They're not. You just happen to be in the way. That's all it is. And everybody has this nice narcissistic fantasy.
And not like in the way like you're standing guard, in the way like a speed bump.
Exactly. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't see you there. That's the worst part. They aren't even like, they don't hate you or anything. It's like, oh man, I'm sorry about that. Excuse me. Gotta keep
But
going.
I do think there's an element of arrogance to it because it's kind of a nice narcissistic fantasy to think like, yeah, the most powerful and richest people in the world are going after me.
Oh, of course.
And
It makes you feel
it's
good.
it's kind of yeah, it's kind of like when you get stoned and you're really fucking paranoid and you're like, yeah, the DEA is about to Pablo Escobar my ass, and it's like, do I have tons of coke in my apartment? No, okay, they're probably not coming.
Even if you do, are you waving it around? It, and I think this is going to tie into the topic. If you guys don't know the topic, male spaces, it's just about guys getting together, like sans women, and the benefits of that. The problem now is that people can have that stupid shared delusion. Like there was always people who believed that, but the problem was they didn't talk to each other. They didn't swap notes about it. So it was always like one guy thought just the lizard people, and one guy thought just the QAnon stuff, and one guy thought just the Earth is flat. Now they're all together, and they've built like this insane wiki of like all the stupid shit that means they're coming to diddle your kids or whatever. And I find that's the annoying part right now because we kind of just like you're like me. We have in real life friends. We hang out with in real life friends. We have our own little clubhouses. And then you see this online perversion of it and you're just like, what in the fuck is this? At least that's my thought. I don't know. I can only assume you're just as jaded about their weird shit.
Well, I always thought like one of the best things that came out of the internet was if you're a pervert, you can find other perverts. Right. Well, just on the basis of, like the level of, let's say, call it self-acceptance. Mm-hmm. Because if you're isolated and you think you're weird, and then you find other people that have that same interests, so to speak,
Oh, yeah.
then that can be a way to build an identity and a way to, find a social space. But the downside is, like you said, with suddenly we have the lizard people and QAnon and everyone's working together. I think that's kind of the problem.
I do.
Because it's like every space builds like a shared identity. It's huge with like with most companies have that too. And like and Hewlett Packard were known for having like a really strict internal culture.
I heard about that. I didn't hear much about it other than like the people that left were definitely not happy with it. But a lot of people that were there, they said it was kind of cult-like. At least I remember. It was Hewlett Packard. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of see the same because I know a couple of guys who work in law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing there. They have that massive, like, thin blue line identity about themselves.
Yeah.
Same thing with the military, too. It's like, it's one of those, military is kind of like a bunch of brothers because everyone likes to make fun of Little Brother Navy and then Little Brother Air Force. But if someone fucks with either service branch and there's people from another service branch there, they will automatically be on the same team.
Oh, yeah. Nobody gets to make fun of my little brother but me. It's exactly what that is. I did enjoy it too, yeah. And I think the Sphere, it kind of has that in a weird way too, but in that same perversion. Like, everybody hates everybody. I hate, this guy, he hates this guy, that guy hates me. But then you throw a feminist in there and everybody's like, yeah, fuck that bitch. Having said that, though, it's just children kind of arguing over nothing. So it doesn't have that same flavor. Like, you're never going to get into a fight in a bar like you would if you were a sailor. Find some guys beat the shit out of an army guy.
Oh, MLM, Military Lives Matter.
Oh, Marty's Lives Matter. That was from the
fair enough.
second channel. I was doing a zombie apocalypse game, and I started naming the characters after dudes in the chat, and Marty's guy lasted for fucking an hour and a half before he got eaten. So I was pretty proud of him.
Enough.
Dante lasted like 15 minutes. Or no, Alpha Sloth lasted like 15 minutes. It was a neat, fun little thing. As you can tell, my push to like leave the manosphere and do something more fun is still going on strong. Just so you guys know, talking about fucking, I'd rather play Minecraft. But even those guys have good communities too, right? Like the video game communities. Like you had, what was it, a WoW guild or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was kind of fun though. With like you saw that with Gamergate because it was like every type of gamer hates every other type of gamer. Mm-hmm. But then, like, the feminists started going after the social space in gaming, and it was like, no, not gonna happen. We're gonna 4chan the fuck out of you.
Dude, I almost missed those times. Like, it was fun. It's not fun anymore. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because everybody got older and have jobs and they keep getting canceled now, but
I think it was just like it kind of went above and beyond, I'd say, because in the beginning, it was just essentially about making fun of people.
yeah.
And, kind of look at how ridiculous these people are. But then suddenly it got that malicious side to it where people started getting doxxed. And yeah, it's to the point where I'm like, who hasn't gotten death threats yet?
Dude, oh, that's right. You missed this. I went on a feminist podcast on Monday with Rolo, and we talked for 4 hours about the red pill. Did the one cardinal rule we broke. And that was the funniest thing. She's talking about death threat or like how she's getting hate and all that shit. I'm like, oh, you haven't made it till you've hit death threats. And then we started swapping notes about that. Turns out, red pill guys get more death threats than girls online. Who'da thunk?
Fair enough. But it's like, I just don't see why that's a thing to write about in the newspapers. Like, person said something stupid on the internet, getting death threats. Isn't that like, has to be so common now that there's like no point in writing about it. Like, if you haven't gotten death threats, are you even on the internet?
Oh, I agree. So weird. I don't know. I mean, I get it because they need something to write, and most of the articles I see right now that are from newspapers are just reading tweets out, which is insane that they've turned into like a TikTok reaction channel. That's not how I pictured the CBC.
Well, you can kind of angle that. I think that's a good thing in a sense because it means that if you really want to influence the cultural dialogue, and I think Andrew Breitbart was right when he said politics is downstream from culture. And if the journos are just reading tweets, then all you have to do in order to get massive media attention on any issue that you're passionate about is to make Twitter talk about it.
Oh, so in other words, Donald Trump won from meme magic.
I wouldn't say that alone, but I think that was probably a very big influence.
I don't know. I guess. The only reason I disagree with it, because I can't get past, like, how much of this is just, like, a correlation. Like, I make the case for feminism, same thing, where they got the vote and all this shit. It's like, well, in that 20-year period, everybody got the vote. White people got the vote, black people got the vote, women got the vote, and I make the case that the suffragettes just, like, rode the coattails of history and then took credit for everything. And I'm wondering how much of, like, the culture war is just that. But maybe I'm just jaded. I've been in here enough that I'm like, everything I see is a grift now, so.
Well, I wasn't talking in terms of causality. It was more of an observation on. It was a corollary it was an influential variable, but it's not the only variable.
Okay, fair enough. Whoa. Is that a nuanced opinion? Can't have that on the internet, sir. You better start shitting on feminists. Start saying women ain't shit, man. Come on.
Because you have to keep in mind, like, when you have, let's say you have Lying Ted trending for 3 days straight and media writing about Lying Ted, that is going to influence people to think, okay, I don't believe all the lies, but he doesn't seem trustworthy.
Oh, yeah, especially when things like, source amnesia kick in?
Yeah,
People don't know where they heard it. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and you've read Ryan Holiday, right?
Oh, yeah. Huge fan of his work. And I guess that's why I'm like, I get it, it's a thing. Because he just wrote about, this is how I made $3 million for Mike Cernovich doing it. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But fuck Mike Cernovich.
Yeah, I think that should be like your T-shirt. It should be like Ryan Stone, fuck Mike Cernovich.
Oh, yes, that won't be taken out of context at all. Oh, okay. We'll get back on topic, but this one was funny. I didn't realize that this was like a hit line. Rolo and I, we knew when we went on there what we were doing. It was just like, fun little entertaining bit of blood sport, whatever. And then, sure enough, as soon as you mentioned anything about any guys having problems, girls had to bring in all their issues. And I guess a lot of girls were talking about how bad abuse is on these hypothetical women that definitely exist. And the line that apparently everybody loved was like I feel you guys, all that pain, it sounds absolutely horrific, but from a red pill standpoint, I just don't care. You know what I mean? And I guess that was when the gotcha Steven Crowder moment happened. But I don't think the girls understood that, like, sometimes you're allowed not to care about stuff. And I'm going to try and bring this back to topic. This is what I love about my personal male spaces. Talk to my friends. They'll poke fun at me for doing this goofy podcast. I'll poke fun at them for still being in the military. Or how my one friend used to be the guy who smoked weed in the barracks and now he's like in charge of deployment strategies. But like none of it matters. It's like the old Gamergate. You're poking fun at each other. You're busting each other's balls and you're kind of like catching up. And I don't know how to like express that as like an important thing, but it totally is. If I'm explaining it well.
Well, I think, especially in male spaces, the ball busting is like one of the central bonding elements.
Yeah.
Yeah, being able to give shit and take shit. Kind of like, if you're the guy who can't take a joke, no one's going to want to hang out with you. Other than other guys who can't take a joke.
Exactly. Imagine something actually horrific happens. The guy who couldn't kick a joke over something small will probably crumble, right?
Yeah, I would think so. And I think and it's also about, learning to have that level of acceptable conflict that creates tension. It's similar to game in that respect. When you're running game with women, you kind of want to push them a bit to build that tension. You have to risk,
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, this reminds me of what you were saying early on, where it's like, oh, so we're just going to talk about gaming dudes.
Well, it kind of is, though, isn't it? It's like a lot of the game stuff is transferable to anything I'd say if you take the Kino out of it, for the most part, I'd say that game is applicable to most social encounters.
I hope so. Dear God. Imagine that if girls were so different that, like, I can't talk to anybody else but 8s, 9s, and 10s, brah. The conversations don't start. I can't give an opinion. They just look at me funny.
That would kind of be hilarious, though. It would make a fun comedy skit, like the guy who's like super smooth running game on girls and then fumbles his words when he's ordering a drink.
Ordering a drink, asking a guy for the time, the weather, talking to his boss about whatever behind the water cooler. Dude, that would be awesome.
Would be like the ultimate example of someone who's too domain dependent.
Ooh. Chesty again with his I get paid by the hour, not by the word. Here, this is actually, I think this is a great example for the grift. The sphere is gaming dudes, but 50% are seeking sex. Although I don't know if it's that many, because I swear to God, I did something yesterday, the Alexander Grace guy. I don't really know much about his content, but they put a video up on it where he was just looking like I just got out of bedhead, and I'm like, I just put a thing in my community channels like, hey, imagine going to work thinking this is an acceptable look. Fuck, people got mad. They were like, fuck you. You look like shit once in July too, you asshole. I was like, holy fuck. YouTube just wants the community tab to get used, and they push you in the algorithm, man. I don't know. I put wham and ain't shit earlier. What's the problem now?
Yeah, I kind of interpret Chesty's comment that, the sphere is gaming dudes, but the 50% who are seeking sex are like half the sphere are actually gay dudes who haven't come out yet.
Oh. The Roosh theory of the red pill. I like it.
I do think there's an element of it because you get that extreme like locker room feel. You get that feeling that some dudes would just love to be walking around the locker room naked, smacking each other with towels.
Oh, 100%. In fact, speaking of which, Dante, throw up that link to the Discord channel. Everybody here can enjoying that nice free private community you built.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It's like I'm like, yeah, half the dudes are trying to fuck other dudes, and you're like, hey, check out our Discord.
Yeah. Oh, they come up with this thing. They're calling each other T-Rexes now, and it's like a very weird, I don't even want to say it on the thing, but it's like a weird homoerotic reference. You'll have to go in the Discord to see if you guys are curious. And I guess somebody tried to pretend to be Carl in there, so they had to deal with that guy. They're like, because they're like, yeah, I think Carl just joined the Discord. I'm like, no, he didn't. Like, how do you know that? I'm like, Carl has got better things to do than to join a Discord and shoot the shit with Marty. I'm just saying. And if he did, he would let me know at least. So yeah, whoever's trying to get your credit card information is not Carl.
Yeah, it would be like, no, I think that would be more like the time we tricked everyone into thinking that I was at the 21 convention.
Oh, dude, that one was awesome. I guess cat's out of the bag. No, nobody cares. Yeah, it was just, he was saying he had it as a good idea. So I took a picture from just like a random spot in the audience, and I sent it to him to have him put it out. I was like, wow, great speech. Dude, it was funny. Like this was back when like people actually came to the thing. There was like 100 people in the audience, all like looking around at each other. Like one of you guys was Kaiser Soze. Like it made me laugh.
Yeah, but I've been teasing that too for like weeks in advance.
Oh yeah. Well, fuck, didn't you actually sneak into? I don't remember which one, but there was one conference of somebody's that you actually did sneak into, and you met a whole bunch of people, but nobody recognized you, cause obviously.
Yeah, right. Fake Carl and Marty talk shit about you all the time.
So I guess here, let's deal with this. You're my Austrian painting expert right now. So Sam put out $10 super chat. Thank you. Thinks the Australian Charlie Chaplin was a decent artist. It's what he did after that diminishes his artistic legacy and he took the male space too far. Confirm or deny?
That's actually kind of funny because the SS, like Hitler's private bodyguard, had like a really fucking weird homoerotic thing going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they thought of themselves as a knightly order. Everyone had to be a certain height, ideally blonde and muscular. Everyone lived together in barracks, and they went away and they had a bunch of weird kind of ceremonies in castles and shit.
Oh, that was actually real? I thought they like made that shit up for like Indiana Jones and stuff.
No, that shit is the Anonarv is real, but it was like the whole SS was this like weird ass. And, you know, in retrospect, you could wonder if certain... I know there was the leader of the Sturmabteilung, Ernst, he was homosexual. That's actually one of the reasons when they took him out during the Night of Long Knives.
Right. Oh, that's why they
used
did
that
it?
against him. Yeah. No, they needed to get him away because he was becoming too powerful, but they used the fact that he was gay and...
Oh, it just was a convenient excuse.
Yeah, ironically, when they came to kill him, he was caught in bed with a 19-year-old recruit.
Such a James Charles thing to do. Holy shit. So how funny is that? Even you get like the third right, or Reicht. I'm not very good at pronouncing it. Getting all of their big glory and taking over the world. It was really just an excuse to diddle underage kids. Wow, that explains the lizard people conspiracies. I guess we just beat those in the 40s was the only difference. Holy shit, this one.
I thought the lizard people thing is about the T-Rexes.
By the way, I'll explain it to you after the thing here as best I can, what they're actually meaning by the T-Rex stuff. I guess John has his tomato farmer, so we had to like find our own version of that.
What's the tomato farmer thing?
Oh my god, you've missed out on so much. That's that stupid idiot that came out with those like 40 or 50 8-hour live streams deciding which one of the Rule Zero guys was the gay guy. And to which their answer is all of them. Now, who's more gay? Let's talk about it for 7 hours. I guess he tried harassing John's mom and harassing Rollo's daughter and a whole bunch of shit like that. So John did some research into it, found out the guy's name. He was some like Southeast Asian ex-con living in his mom's basement. Like, I shit you not, he literally was living in his mom's basement. And he had a second YouTube channel where he just was like a tomato farmer doing it as like his hobby. And so then joking around and calling anybody a tomato farmer is like an underhanded way of saying like a black pill idiot. And so they throw tomatoes all over in the chat all over the place. It was kind of funny.
That's kind of brilliant though. Like your one channel is shitting on Rule Zero, the other one you're growing tomatoes.
I know. It does seem
like how weird is it's so random.
I know. I guess it's a calming Zen-like experience, and while he's waiting for him to grow, he's got nothing else to do, so he might as well shit on a bunch of dudes. I don't know.
Well, it's just like I know there are a ton of weird. Like there's a YouTube channel of a dude who just cuts stuff with a 10,000-degree knife or something.
Oh, I remember that guy. There's that guy, and then the hydraulic press guy who just smushes things.
Yeah, there are a ton of weird channels, but it's like, how do you get to a point in your life where, like, yeah, I'm going to make this channel where I shit on the manosphere, and I'm going to make this channel where I'm growing tomatoes all day?
Well, see, now you're making me interested in this shit.
Well, it's kind of like, the grand old man of the con, like, who had, like, a pipe smoking channel.
Oh, yeah.
And,
old Mrs. Take him to the dance.
It's kind of ironic when you seem to be that deep in the closet to have a YouTube channel about smoking pipe, but fair enough. I
have a video. I guarantee there's a video where he cusses out tomato worms. Having said that, though, consider this, guys. He had a community. I don't know how big his channel was. I never really watched any of it other than seeing the thumbnails of us painted as clowns, which he never did anything to yours. Go figure. Turns out you were right about the Anon thing. But even he managed to build a community of it. They even had that, and this is kind of like a second topic. I guess we'll put it now. I'll put that in here. They had that, remember the Carolina Hermes chick? That Brazilian middle-aged girl that loved everybody and then hated everybody? So she was in there for a hot minute. And then naturally a bunch of those guys were thirsting for her. And then she fucking went feral and then started talking shit about all them on her own little channel. And I thought, if I cared enough to watch more of their content, I could put together a great little like example of how women ruin male spaces. And I thought that'd be a great topic to talk about here. I could use the military for that. I could use the black pill. Like, I know, do you read Ian Ironwood stuff? Like the Red Pill Room, his blog?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, do you remember his post on the Sandbox male social spaces?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the one part in there I found was hilarious. Like, it just clicked when he said you bring one woman into a male space, and then all the thirsty dudes will try to impress her as opposed to staying on whatever the point of the group is. And then you add a second girl on there. The girls will create a point between them, and then they'll fight everybody else as an outsider, and they'll just basically fight amongst each other for the most male attention. And then the entire group kind of breaks down because now it's guys fighting for girls' attention and girls conquering and dividing the guys. And that was like a great example of that.
Well, I think it's because most male spaces are formed around an activity or some form of identity. And I think you see that the clearest and the strongest ones, which I would argue fire departments, law enforcement, and military.
100%.
Because for those guys, that male space that they end up joining, it's not just a space they're in. Like, let's say you were playing on a football team or something. It's a huge part of their entire identity.
Yeah.
For good and bad. I mean, the good side of it, it's really good for the military because it means you're really close as a unit and you get good at working together and accomplishing what you're supposed to. It's negative in that you become a very insular culture where new information has a very hard time penetrating in, which is why you'll see things happening in those specific spaces on a way longer time scale than the rest of society.
Mm-hmm.
And it also takes them a long time to apologize for fucking up. It's like every place where, like, let's say every place where homosexuality was illegal and then it became legal. It
Right.
always took the police like 50 fucking years to be like, yeah, we're really sorry for beating the crap out of you for being gay back in the day.
Actually, I don't even think we ever got that. I just remember, Canada had that for the Pride Parade. There was like, because there was like a big thing in the 60s where they basically just beat the shit out of like hundreds of gay dudes and some, I don't know, whatever. But then the big victory they got was that the cops made their own float and they joined in on the Pride Parade. And I thought and then that's like, that's awesome. So the cops now accept gay people can walk around, do their thing. Everybody's happy. And then I guess Black Lives Matter finally came up to Canada. Like, never mind, we don't have the same issues, but I guess they got so mad at the cops, or like they blocked and protested the gay pride parade until they kicked the cops out. And the gay guys, any gay guy like older than 50 was pissed. They're like, do you know how hard that was to get those guys to show up and not hit us with a billy club, and you fuckers just want them out of here? And I don't know how that, like, I don't know. I think it was a girl that actually was running the BLM thing that tried doing that too. And I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. Like, even in the most like progressive, non-classical masculinity place, a bunch of guys made a thing and it worked out well. And then a girl comes in and ruins the whole thing. Makes me laugh. So I don't think the cops are into pride parades anymore.
But I think the dynamic within those spaces, they're healthy to be in because you stay on point and you're able to actually learn from each other and you're able to work on your social skills, because I think that's what's lacking with a lot of the guys that come in here. They've just never worked on their social skills outside of very strictly defined spaces like going to school or work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a large part of the MGTOW element too. It's that
I don't mean to laugh.
Well,
Keep going.
it's just a decision to make that, okay, I haven't worked on my social skills, and I can't be bothered to learn, so I'll just game instead.
Yeah, I guess. Actually, that makes sense too, because the gaming's always very awkward, antisocial. I'm still amazed that guys have like trouble maintaining eye contact with other guys. Like,
Yeah, that was. Now, I was just going to comment that, like, if you need, like, back on the death threats thing, it's like, if you played Xbox Live back in, like, 2008, you've gotten death threats.
yeah, easily. If you're lucky, it was somebody older than 13 giving you death threats too. At least then you had some
Yeah,
like
like,
credible threat that they might do it if they had the chance.
yeah, I had, like, a 13-year-old said he was going to fuck my mom once.
I still think my favorite was that one in 2018 where just before I went up on stage in that Florida thing, somebody sent me a photo of like Aztec skin art saying he was gonna crack my head open with a ball peen hammer. And he's like, "Have fun on stage," and I was like, "Oh, fair enough." He never did nothing though.
Oddly specific, why a ball peen hammer?
I don't know why Aztec skin art. At first, I didn't even understand what it was. I had to ask around until somebody finally explained it to me because I didn't do South American art history at all. So I would say that then if you're going to threaten people, use more common references because you'll get confused before you get scared. I'll just leave it there. Probably would have had much more effect if you did some Catholic like torture devices.
Yeah, or at least, I just can't get over like how specific some people get. It reminds me of like this. It was like a huge thing around the battle rap community for a while there,
Yeah, yeah.
where dudes were actively ratting themselves out on stage.
Oh, like committing like crime?
But no, like explaining like I shot this dude, then I went and got the dope, and then I hid the gun upstairs in the second bedroom to the left above the sink.
I love. It's just know what's good about a male space too. There's always like in the military, we had tons of guys who would do something stupid, like not that stupid, but something stupid. And it's nice to know there's 30 guys to fucking dude, shut the fuck up and like drag you back. Like fights were the greatest for that. Nobody in the Navy wanted to fight because as soon as you fight, you get arrested, you get confined to ship, you get a summary trial, and then you miss out on getting to enjoy fucking San Diego, right? So as soon as somebody starts getting ornery and doing the 50 cal finger in the chest thing, 5 guys are pulling them back. Not because they're like, don't fight, man, it's not worth it. It's because if you fuck up my vacation, I'll murder you, I swear to God. I think a lot of guys need that. Like, face it. Let's face it. An Anthony Johnson guy, I wish that George Bruno was as good of a friend and lapdog as he like proclaimed to be, because at some point he would just look at him as like, dude, calm the fuck down. Seriously. You got a job to think about here. He'd probably still be around today doing conventions and shit. Had somebody around him just liked him enough to say, don't. Just don't.
Oh yeah, and I think that's kind of why you need that male space too, because yeah, they will make fun of you relentlessly when you fuck something up. Mm-hmm. But most guys who are decent people will kind of give you that little nod to that, yeah, dude, don't do this shit. It's just not worth it.
Well, it's good.
That's a good one, though. Like,
it's like an ownership thing.
Like Landfill had a good comment here too. Like ball peen hammers are legal to carry around. Yeah, but if you want to carry a lethal weapon around, just choose something a little less weird. I mean, if some dude is walking around with a hammer in his hand and go out on the street, I'm going to assume he's trying to kill someone.
Yeah. No way. It's a construction convention. He's on his way over.
It's like, get golf clubs at least.
Ooh, here's actually a good one. Diego Osorio. Former cop Rafa Conde set up a men's boot camp called Men of War Crucible. Looks hella fun, but it's like 10,000. Any chance you guys can do one for 4K? Nothing against Donovan, but the Conference of Masculine Excellence is all about speeches. Oh boy, there he's opened the ball of wax, man. Thank you. I see why it's $50 super chat, because I would have just blown by this if you were asking me to talk shit about Donnie's convention. Or what do they call it? 21 Convention 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Okay, I just can't get over the names of these, like Men of War Crucible, Conference of Masculine Excellence,
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I know.
Yeah, there's a certain like schwung over this.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like your gamer tag in like a 1997 game of like Unreal Tournament where it was like Murder Death Kill and like Skull Factory. And your Avi always had to be like a skull and fire spinning around 360. It's got that like juvenile machismo quality to it. Kind of cute, but I wouldn't do it as a grown man.
Well, it's just I just think something a little bit less ostentatious. I mean, I know ostentatious isn't the right word to use here, but it's kind of like a gold. The names are kind of like a gold toilet to me.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Kitsch. You're talking about them being extremely kitsch. Which if you guys don't know, it's an aesthetic that's like just vulgar and ugly. I think that's the best way to describe it. Look it up later. You'll see. That's our $5 word for the day. No, I agree. And I actually have a problem with the boot camp stuff too. First off, there's a bunch of these. You guys don't even know. There's literally one in Australia called the Man Cave, which makes me laugh on so many levels. There's Men of War Crucible. There was that other Mormon one. I can't remember what it was. Rollo was talking about it a bit before too.
I do have a question about the conference called the Man Cave. Do a lot of guys come in there?
Funny enough, it's for like young men who are driftless and aimless, being run by an
but how
older
many
man.
young men can you fit inside the Man Cave?
I don't know. I just really hope they don't have no like reverend in a hotel bathroom kind of scenarios coming out there. Not saying that every 40-year-old guy who wants to get a bunch of 19-year-olds together to talk about man shit is that going there, but I wouldn't be surprised. But you know what I mean? It's like feeling. It's not actually getting shit done. It's a tough mutter. Actually, it is. It's a tough fucking mutter.
Yeah, but why just not do a tough mutter?
See, that's what I like. Like, for example, the Men on War Crucible, I'll have to go look it up. I'll just talk about Tough Mudder. It's not that it's tough. Like, it's just a bunch of running and jumping. It's no different than, like, an obstacle course in the military. But the military did it as a team-building exercise. The Tough Mudder just does it so you can have the feeling of being tough. Because, oh, dude, I've ran before, but have you ever run while you're covered in mud? It's fucking... It reminds me of those old Chevy commercials where they show you the truck and then they dump, like, 500 pounds of logs in the back of it just to show you how tough it is. Meanwhile, you're just driving to yoga class with it 2 times a week.
Yeah, it's kind of a same thing with, the guys who show up to the gym with like $3,000 worth of gym clothes. Everything has to have like barbed wire, and affliction shirts were huge for that for a while.
Oh God,
Everything has like skulls and shit on it, and it's like, dude, I'm here to work out. I'm not here to look tough. If someone wants to fight me, we can do that outside. I don't need to get banned from my gym. It's the only one close to my apartment.
Yeah, those are the guys that always wear pants to work out. Their protein shake resting precariously on top of the bench. Just because they can reserve it, they're not actually benching because, with all the chains and shit hanging off them, they don't actually get a good range of motion. Actually, golfing is the one I notice is the worst for that. Like my buddies and I with $200 rusty ass clubs we just have on the ship for whatever when we hit Diego. And we'll be beside some guys with like $1,000 worth of ping gear. Meanwhile, like we're both pitching bogey game golf. And I'm like, why did you guys spend this much money just to suck at golf? Like the clubs are not the limiting factor in our skill at this point. I'm telling you.
It kind of reminds me of when I used to be a bit into fishing.
Uh-huh.
Because you have 2 types of fishermen.
Right.
You have people who are mainly there to focus on drinking while they're on a boat. And then you have the people who get way too into fishing. It's a hobby you can do with literally a stick with a piece of string on it.
Yeah.
And
a worm you dig up.
Yeah, like dudes are pulling out like $2,000-$3,000 worth of fishing equipment. And I can kind of justify that for, like, let's say you're hunting.
Yeah.
I can kind of justify some of that expense. Because unless you're post hunting, you have to walk around a lot. You have to be out in nature. Having good optics and a good rifle is going to help you not get a clean kill and so on.
Yeah.
But fishing, you literally dangle something in the water until something bites, you pull it up.
Well, and I think that's the core point about this, and I think the things guys get wrong about male spaces is that treat Like they want to get the brand identity of something, but not actually doing something. Like if you want to go to a boot camp, just join the military. It's called basic training. That's what the boot camp is, but nobody knows that. They watched Full Metal Jacket once or twice, and they're like, "Oh, dude, that'd be fun." And then some guy gets over there, he yells at you. There's no chance of failing. He's designed it like an amusement park, so you'll never die. Like, I don't know the Men of War Crucible. Maybe it's great, maybe it's not, maybe it's fun, maybe it's not. I guarantee you it's designed so there's no chance you're actually going to get into any kind of danger there. You could probably trip and fall on a rock, and they'll still not kill you. And which to me is like, what's the point then? Like, they're not teaching a practical skill. You're not trying to qualify for something that you have to be better than everybody else at whatever arbitrary thing you did. There's no real danger, so there's no, like, risk that if you just fuck around that it won't be well. So, like, why would you do it other than the dopamine rush of, like, yeah, I'm covered in mud. I had to run through a field that's got fish hooks that are electrified through it, and they mildly tingle as I run. You know?
Well, that's a hot take from Chesty. The manosphere is the village people without talent.
The village people is the village people without talent. I'm biased, though. Because every time I mention anything about the Navy, that's the first question people ask. Oh, like the village people. I'm like, fuck you, no, like the village people. Do you see me calling you Simon and Garfunkel just because you didn't shave? Asshole.
I do think that it was typical of a cop to do something like that Men of War Crucible.
Yeah. I did
I'd say
wonder about...
if you
Oh, what's that?
if you need a male identity and you're kind of feeling powerless and without direction in your life, just be a cop and beat up jaywalkers, you two. Come on, do it.
And if you can't do that, there's all kinds of security agencies that love to take people who want to be cops. I mean, you only have a
Jesus Christ.
flashlight, but you can still crack it over somebody's head. And you could say, I used to be infantry, don't fuck with me. Love that line. It's my favorite line. MPs love it.
Yeah, it was one of the funniest things. It was like some dude I read. Can't remember when I read the story, but some guy who wanted to be a cop became a security guard, and then he ended up in jail because he used an illegal chokehold.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the identity. You know what it is? It's the identity thing. And I think this is where male spaces need to be focused on something as opposed to the member's identity. Because guys get hooked on the identity and then they just plow through to reinforce the identity. It's never about earning it. It's never about like meeting a certain standard. If you don't meet the standards, you don't have the identity. It's always about, no, I'm masculine man of honor and I got the certificate and the receipt. So fuck you. There's my receipt, $2,000 to go to a Tough Mudder competition. When in reality, at least from my experience, and you can tell me about yours, is like I joined a group of guys. It was my messmates, the ones we sailed with. Our identity was sailors. 2 mess. The messes were all numbered. 2 mess, because we were the guys that lived in 2 mess. We worked in like 3 or 4 different trades. And that identity kind of built itself over time from the things that we did. As opposed to a lot of like this stuff. And like I said, no offense to it. I'm sure it's fun, but the Rule Zero RP Warband boot camp would be kind of doing you guys a disservice. It would make you feel like a man without having to do anything to earn it. And I think that kind of cheapens.
I would say we have a lot of tackleberries in the world in general.
Nice 80s reference. I like it.
No, it was kind of like that was a reference that came to mind because that's a guy who's you can kind of tell that he shows up to the police academy and he's already a cop in his own head.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing with the guy who shows up to basic training with his own shined army boots.
Actually, for us, it was a guy who showed up with his own dog tags. Like, what the fuck?
You can kind of tell those guys are identity seekers. They're not coming to the space to do what the space is about. They just want the identity.
Yeah.
Same thing with the guy who's been here for like 7 or 8 years, can recite Rolo from memory, and still hasn't hit on a girl.
I hit on a girl.
You can't recite Rolo from memory.
Not quite. Not as well as I can quote Die Hard from memory, but I'm getting there. No, I agree. Even Reddit had this, though. And I know it's like stupid talking about male communities and then talking about Reddit. Like, I get it. That's like the League of Extraordinary Nerds. But when they started putting flair on there, the red pill was like, okay, so people are coming in, like tradcons, feminists, they're coming in and they're arguing shit. And then new guys are coming in they hear like a limitable man arguing with feminist for 2069. They're like, new guys are going to be confused. Who the hell's the authoritative one here? And they're like, well, let's start giving flair to people who, like, the moderators will make an initial group of flair. Those guys know what they're talking about. So if you see an argument, you don't know what to think, give those guys the benefit of the doubt, but try it yourself. As soon as that happened, all of a sudden people came out of the woodworks like, how do I get flair? How do I get recognition from the community? And it's like, it's hard, and I don't know why or how or the details of it, but as soon as you make any kind of competence hierarchy, some asshole always wants to game the system because he wants to get the shiny medal, but he doesn't understand the point of it. I don't know where else to take this. I got nothing, but like, I'll end the ramble on a whimper.
It's kind of the same thing with when a girl joins the community, because those guys are just there to get recognition from the community. They're not there for the benefit of the community or to contribute to what the community is about. They're there to fill an emotional void. If they were girls, they would be filling it with dick. Hey, they're in the manosphere. It could be that they're just here in the manosphere to get some guys into their man cave. Who knows?
It's funny too, because this question is perfect time. Thank you, Lou, for the £5 super chat. Joined a boxing gym. Like, this is perfect. Nobody talked to him until he started sparring. And I'm like, this is the kind of thing that I actually enjoy. I actually get tired of hearing MRAs bitch about male spaces are dying off and somebody needs to fix this. I'm like, fuck you. Start a boxing gym. And then be like cutthroat. Like, I'll guarantee you, it's not that the guys hated Lou when he got in there. He just didn't matter. But then once he started showing some effort, putting in a little bit of it, like, you don't have to be perfect at anything. World of Warcraft guild. You don't have to be perfect, but, you know, he wants to run a raid.
That depends.
Okay, to get in. I'm not saying to excel or be good.
I would say it depends a lot. In any kind of gaming, gaming is notoriously hard on competence hierarchies. Mm-hmm. It's like everything has a scoreboard and a ladder. So it's kind of obvious that that's going to be a thing.
All right, fair point.
But the culture around it differs from kind of, I'd say you have echelons within it. You have the people who are gamer dads who are just there to fuck around and have fun when the kids are asleep. Then you have guys who are good, but they just don't play that much because they have shit going on. And then you have the guys who their entire life is in that game. It's like you have this. There's a video clip from classic World of Warcraft called "Apes Ride to Molten Core," and to give you the context here, there's a private server guild. It's probably the best guild in the world, or one of them, and they named themselves apes because that used to be an insult. So someone insulted them by calling them apes, so they named their guild apes.
Nice. That's actually really clever. That's our word now.
But anyway, they're notoriously hardcore gamers, and just in like that 20-minute video, their entire server is trying to kill them.
Dude, that's got like EVE Online vibes to it. I used to love that shit for the hot minute.
There's like 40 or 50 of them, and like 500, 600, 700 people trying to kill them. And these guys blow through, like, they'd have to spend like a week in time inside the game just to afford the consumables to get to that instance and start their raid.
See, that's awesome. I bet you, and they had like a solid, like, everybody's against them, so I bet you they had a pretty good in-group system going on too. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, the hilarious thing, you can actually, when you can listen to those kind of groups, I think it's hilarious to listen to how they speak to each other. Because it's like, take mail communication and dial that to fucking 1,000. Like, there's another video, I can't remember what guild it is, but it's a speed clear of an instance called Max Ramus.
Right.
And I'm almost certain that the raid leader there is a white guy, and he drops N-bombs with the hard R about 18 times per minute as they're doing that entire raid. It was actually brought up in some kind of article about, the racist, sexist culture in gaming.
Oh.
It's like you see that video. It's like, yeah, kind of hard to argue with that when you have that video.
That's actually funny. But you know what? It's like you can get through that. Like it doesn't get worse than that. I kind of like that too. That's a training thing. Same with the military. When we deployed, like our work schedule on the transit was twice as bad as it was when we were in the deployment box. Because they always, and same as boxers, they always train you to fight. Like if you're doing 5 rounds, they'll train you to fight 7. So yeah, the times when it doesn't matter, of course you got to be a little hardcore. Oh, here's the other one too. I was thinking about that. You reminded me of this guy, and I can't remember his name, but he used to run a fleet in the EVE Online fleet, the Reddit one, and I was there, and this guy was just a fucking asshole. Just trying to find what the hell his name was. I was gonna put that in there too. But yeah, he would call everybody a retard constantly on the fleet battles, which would go on for an entire day. I was actually impressed he could do that. But we used to do that in the military. Like, dude, I was the Mexican. They kept calling me that because we went to Mexico once, and like most of the Newfoundlanders never saw a brown guy before. So from then on, I was a Mexican guy. Well, and the Colombian guy, which it pissed off the Colombian that was sailing with us, but didn't really bother me. Oh, fun fact. Well, see, Danny, no, he's not racist or sexist. It is like I don't think the words matter. I don't think he means any of that shit. I just think he knows those are magical words that get people riled up and express anger.
I think that's kind of but it took a long time speaking as, a 90s kid to stop using retard. I still do, but
Yeah.
you've seen this podcast before. I still do.
Yeah.
But it's something I'm working on cutting back on.
Same. Another one, the gay. I actually had to stop myself. My girl keeps shitting on me. He's like, you gotta stop saying that. I'm like, why? I mean happy. I have to constantly remind myself to mean happy. But it's whatever. Like, what do they expect? I don't know how you were raised, Carl. Like, I was on a ranch. I had a logging company. My parents had a logging company. I did the military for 12 years. Like, what the fuck do you think I sound like? Yeah.
Well, it's kind of I can kind of see the need. It's the same thing with there's this brilliant TikTok clip I saw with the song "Party Up" by DMX, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like one of the opening lines in that song is like, "I show no love to homo thugs." And they have this clip like millennials checking out DMX after he died and starting to play that song. Like, yeah, this shit is bagging. And then like, no, you can't say that.
I can't wait to hear like Ice Cube dying or something. Then people going back to old NWA and Eazy-E. Fuck, that would make me laugh.
Yeah.
I still laugh because they did that every time Netflix puts out another 80s campy movie. Like Police Academy came out and they didn't realize how much like homo fucking phobia there was in there, like the Blue Oyster. Well, as soon as you're in the gay bar, you have to have anal sex. That's the joke. And everybody's like, what in the fuck?
Well, I kind of got reminded of that too, because if you watch the old Mel Brooks movies too.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, what was Blazing Saddles?
Yeah.
Like, I think until Quentin Tarantino, he had like the most N-bombs in a movie, wasn't it? Or something stupid like that?
Yeah, and it's the same thing with he has another one. It's Springtime for Hitler,
Oh, yeah.
which is like almost back-to-back gay jokes.
Lots of gay jokes, lots of more Nazis than an Indiana Jones trilogy. Oh shit! Here, speaking of which, here's a boot camp for you. Thank you, Mark Daniels, Mark Inspiration for the $50 super chat. Guatemala, 6 years. That's a boot camp, like living in the Wild West. Pro fighter and needed that skill more than once. I can't argue with this, by the way. Like every third world shithole we went to, I thought was like a wonderful like training boot camp in street smarts and keeping a low profile and staying out of trouble and avoiding cops. I love that skill and I'm so glad I learned it. Like just don't get drunk and pee on a dumpster beside where the cops are hanging out and you'll have more money to drink. It's like such a basic lesson and so many guys didn't know it.
Yeah, but I even had that conversation with a friend of mine when I was looking for a new apartment, and I told him, yeah, I went to look at an apartment down in like the bad part of town, and he was like, you do realize there's like an open drug scene like 300 feet from that apartment and was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't get that one. I can deal with the druggies and the gang members, but there are too many cops in that area.
That's what I love. That's what gets you. It's like, look, I can handle drug dealers and stabbings. I just don't want any cops around. I don't trust those guys.
And I don't know why, but I think it's just a consequence of being raised the way I was. Because nobody, even the cops around where I grew up, didn't trust the cops.
Yeah. Well, say what you will about criminals. I've been raised around a fair bunch myself. They're kind of like, you leave me the fuck alone, that's 99% of your problems gone. Don't owe them money. Don't bother them. That's it. Perfectly pleasant also, people.
Yeah, and the benefit of it, like I've had apartments before where you have drug dealers in an apartment above or whatever. Mm-hmm. You can party as loud as you want, and they'll never call the cops with a noise complaint.
True. More friendly too. Yeah, they'll actually come to your door. Hey, man, you mind keeping it down? Friendly. But I guess you can afford to be friendly.
Go to sleep.
Yeah, have a bit of weed, go to sleep. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing because I was growing up. Hell's Angels were big in our town, and I didn't really know what the Hell's Angels were at the time. For me, it was just, friends of my stepdad's and that, right? And it was weird to see, like, rednecks with, like, gigantic golden jewelry hanging off of them. But as I got older, I started to understand. I'm like, oh, surprised how many of these people are murderers. They seemed rather pleasant. And it turns out if you're not the one being murdered, nobody's got beef with you. Who would have thunk?
Yeah, but even if talk about third world countries here, the conversation with Chesty and the Philippines, it's like, yeah, Southeast Asia, it's not just cops, it's everyone. Like, try and go to a hospital and China's different, but even like out in the countryside there, you're going to have to bribe people. It's like you can come in there with a broken leg and you're still going to have to bribe someone to get a painkiller.
Mm-hmm. In China and that, like, I don't know about all places. I know Thailand, for there, they just whatever, it's money. But I know some places like to have that, well, you're paying the fine here. Are they more like Mexico that way, or are they just like Thailand? It's like, just give us money.
Bit of both. If you're a tourist, they'll generally try and blackmail you instead of giving you a fine. But with China, China's with same thing as every country. I mean, it's somewhat strict, but at the same time, the further you are from Beijing, the less of a shit people give about what Beijing told them to do.
There's your Chinese libertarians. That's kind of cool.
Well, I think it's every country. It's like the people. It's either or, I'd say, because either the main capital is the strictest place in the nation, or it's the place where they couldn't give two shits.
Yeah, I still got to get around to getting down there. I mean, I guess at this point they've dealt with COVID. They're finished. So, and I hear tickets now are $80 to fly to China right now. I'm half tempted.
Oh yeah,
go there to where it's safe.
Yeah, I just bought my vacation now, and it's really cheap.
Yeah,
I'm not going to Asia, fair enough, but I don't want to go and sit next to some dude who's eating a bat on the plane or some shit.
Well, my girl keeps telling me to go to China, and I'll love it. But for me, I really want to go back to Croatia, like the Mediterranean stuff. I enjoyed it there. And I like Croatia because it's just, like, it's not popular enough. It's not like Turks and Caicos or, what's the places the Americans always go? The Bahamas or whatever, where it's too touristy. I like off-season touristy kind of places.
I'd say the main thing I have against that is I'm just not a huge fan of the Mediterranean diet. I know it's like the best diet and everyone loves it, but I just think the food there is not the most exciting.
Food? Oh, I go there to day drink. I don't know what you're talking about. Coffee and wine, uppers and downers. It's enough calories.
I like Spanish food. I like Portuguese food, but I'm just that whole circle there with basically olives for every meal, and the only spices they use are salt and pepper and some aromatics.
We'll see. You're getting kind of nostalgic now. I'm like, can't wait till Dougie shuts the fuck up and I can go travel again freely.
Yeah, that's a funny thing though. It's like there's a small a protest starting to show up all over the place. We're like, okay, you know what? The infected are going down. No one's in the hospital anymore. Can you stop having press conferences every 10 fucking minutes, people?
The daily ones, they drive me nuts. Canada has only stopped televising press conferences because not only did Florida have that building collapse and there was Canadians inside, there's the fires that are burning down a town in BC right now, and I don't know, some Black Lives Matter or some bomb, but like 4 different crises have taken over, so now COVID's not a factor anymore. And the protests are finally starting to get a little bit of coverage, but still not on the news. Like here, we had a mask protest. It's been going on every weekend since as soon as it stopped snowing, so like March. It's huge. It runs like 4 kilometers long. It's like 10,000 people. It's huge. They literally walk by the CBC headquarters and they've never put a story out on it. Meanwhile, there was like a pro-Palestine protest that was like 20 people. And you could tell it was kind of manufactured because all the Palestine flags they had still had the creases from when they took them out of the package. Meanwhile, there's like 15 news vans on there. Again, it just leads into my whole distrust. It's like everything I'm watching on TV, I have to keep in mind. And I know we're going to go on talk about news on Rule 02, where it's like all of it, you can just guarantee it's a fucking lie. This has nothing to do with male spaces, by the way, Adam.
No, I was reading chat here. Some dude was like, Eastern European women are the best because you can impress them by just having like wheat or sugar. Yeah, that used to be why all the PUAs would go there in the 90s, but I think they have wheat now.
Yeah, I think they picked up wheat. They no longer have to worry about toilet paper. What was that? Perestroika? Wasn't that like 40 years ago now? Like they're past it?
Yeah, something like that.
Now they're just like anywhere else, man. They have Russian TikTokers that are huge right now.
Yeah, the Russians are catching up really quickly. They're doing very well.
Well, I don't know what they changed, because wasn't it like the oligarchy of the old Russian Empire basically turned into the Rockefellers, and that's why they took all the nation's wealth, but then something happened where either they redistribute a little bit back or they general prosperity. But I think people kind of figured out you can't run a pile of like a yacht on top of shit mountain.
No, you have to kind of, and I think Moscow's looking nice now. It's been a while, but it's starting, it doesn't have that complete, like, Eastern European Soviet feel to it. But I'd say large parts of Europe do kind of have that 80s Sovietish look because it became very in vogue for a while there to essentially build ugly-ass fucking buildings.
Goddamn little commie kids. Probably no Antifa over in Russia, though. I'll give them that much.
No, and if you protest...
Oh, sorry, I was going to say, if they have, like, group spaces in Russia in there, too? Like, I don't think they need it.
Group spaces?
Like, same as we have here. Do they have a conference of masculine excellence in Russia for Russian guys?
I don't really think you need that. I mean, it's still legal to beat your wife over there.
Oh, no shit. Okay, here, I'll get this one out of the way. All right, I don't know Alexander Grace. These guys are poked. I told you this before, where I put a picture of him up from like a thumbnail it recommended to me of him looking like a bag of smashed assholes, and I'm like, basically saying presentation matters, but poking fun at him. Everybody got really mad about it. I don't really care, guys.
I don't even know who that dude is.
I know him only because Rolo talked about him as like one of the first guys that would just read Rational Mail from his Honda Civic.
Fair enough.
But I mean, anything. I'll put it this way, guys, and Carl can vouch or not on this one. If you're seeing it on a community tab in YouTube or on my Twitter, I don't give a shit. That's just top of the funnel shit. That's just attention-grabbing sensationalism. So, yeah. I mean, whatever. It got people's attention, and everybody was talking about it, so good. Point achieved. Personally, I don't really care.
Yeah, but you're a very easy dude to hate.
Probably. All you have to do... Oh, never mind. I don't even want to get into that asshole thing. I was going to start talking about all the assholes that are assholes online. I'm like, fuck it. That's not the kind of male space I want. I want us to be able to sit here in mud and run up a hill and throw rocks around and do all this masculine shit.
Well, I do feel like we can't talk about male spaces before just poking a little bit fun at the male space on the Red Pill Reddit, where essentially you have a dude who's on trend yelling for guys to take their shirt off or shut the fuck up.
Hey, speaking of which, you were talking about that SS guys with their whole, like, I really want to diddle 19-year-olds vibe. It's kind of funny how it came all back full circle. I wonder, I don't even know what he's up to now. Last I heard, he moved to South America with his girlfriend. And now he just has like a paid Telegram channel and guys are funding his third world decadence.
Well,
He's
that's fair enough.
become. Do you remember Sasha Day Game? He was an old PUA day game
The
guy. He
name,
moved
yeah,
to.
but not the rest.
Ah, dude, he's just a fucking gong show. But he's that same guy who moved to some place that you can live like a king for 100 a month, and then he lives off of the YouTube ad revenue where he tells you about the 3 tips and tricks that you could pick up whammon. It's pretty funny. I can't be too mad at the guys because guys like him are the ones that like fund all the ad buys on my channel, so they're kind of paying my bills. So I got to thank them too.
But I would say though, like I'd consider, and I have considered moving to like a nice third world country when I retire, just because like with a decent retirement, you can live like a king down there, and
Yeah,
it's no huge difference from living in a Western country.
just a slower pace of life, I would assume.
And if you're retired, you're not really in it for the fast-paced life, are you?
No, not at all. By then, you should hopefully have enough of like a. You probably got a girl if you want to settle down with a girl, or if you're single and you're good enough at game, you can pick up the local talent there. Like all your shit should be sorted out by then. That's you just literally going your own way. Literal
Like I always
MGTOW. It's
like
called
the
retirement.
you know the what's the Doctor No, the James Bond movie? That kind of just have your own little private island.
For me, it was I like that Southern France transporter. You ever watch the transporter? Remember that little
Yeah.
villa he had there?
Oh yeah, that's a nice one.
That's the kind of one I got pictured. I don't want a Mercedes though. I think I'm the only guy who would go to Europe and not want to own a Mercedes. But
I like
whatever.
Mercedes. They're probably some of the best cars in the world in that price range.
They suppose they are, but I mean, I just don't like cars. I don't know what it was. My sister's a car guy. My brother's a car guy. My mom's a car guy. Like everybody's a car guy but me. I just never got into it, and I don't know why.
Yeah, me neither, but I can see why it's an attractive hobby. But it's one of those hobbies that can be a bit derailing for guys too, because a lot of the guys who need male spaces have really solitary hobbies.
Oh, dude, that's huge. Like gaming's a great example of that.
And it was kind of like I started considering that when I moved. I moved around a couple of times, but it's like it's not that easy to make friends once you're out of school.
The
You kind of
military I
have
found
to
was
find
good.
military is good, but the workplace can be good. It depends. And other than that, you're not going to make friends at the gym. Like you're not going to go walk up to a dude who's lifting and start talking to him, and then he's going to think you want to fuck him.
I'm not.
And
Well,
then
that
you have
sucks.
the and then you have the so finding some kind of hobby that's not listening to us run our mouth is really useful to build like a decent male space.
Which is true.
Because at least you notice that in your 20s it's a bit easier too because usually you meet people while you're out partying, but you're not going to be out partying that much when you hit your late 30s or your 30s even.
No, and if you regularly go out to party, you're going to run into people more often who party all the time and they don't have a lot going on. That's why I always called them like party friends. They're totally different than real friends. They're if you wanted to have a house party, they're the filler you invite over, preferably girls and guys to get things going. For me, I always took it as like a vector, like a 3 points of contact. Work, you'd have a work friend. That's 1 point of contact. Maybe you go for drinks after work. That's like a second point. Maybe it turns out he's part of like one of the guys I used to work with was part of like a local beer league rugby team. Invited me down to go check him out on the rugby thing and play a little pickup thing myself. So then bam, there's a rugby thing, there's a drinking thing, there's a work thing, and now you got 3 points of contact, and that's really I think where you can have a friendship build up. And then maybe, if I got into rugby, which I didn't, it felt like MMA to me where I was constantly hurt and I don't like it. I don't like how how it hurts to breathe every day.
No, that
But
was
we did
kind
that
of
with
my
squash,
thing.
another buddy of mine. And then we ended up starting like a little squash league, and then that became the little male space. And that's the creating the male space. I think most guys bitching about male spaces don't know how to make one, and I think that's the issue. They don't even know where to start.
No, I think just finding some kind of activity that requires more than one person.
Yeah. So I'm
And I
wondering,
don't mean like
there's less of those too when you think about it. I'm really thinking about it. It was what were you saying?
yeah, and I would say that yeah, you can be social while gaming. I'm not a complete fucking boomer, but it's not the same thing.
No. Well, there's a total difference. Like, remember Japan, how they still have like arcade culture? Japan and Korea?
Yeah.
Like, that was a social gaming thing. 80s arcades, 90s arcades, that too. I think there's something about in person that makes all the difference. I don't know
Yeah,
how
same
to
thing with
explain
LAN
it.
parties.
Oh, yeah. Dude, those were awesome.
I kind of miss those. That used to be where you got all the new porn.
I just remember it was Total Annihilation was our big one for our big LAN parties. That and WoW or Warcraft 2. Yeah, those are the two big ones. And do you remember when everybody used to make their custom cases that were strictly for LAN parties? Like I remember one guy used like an ammo box to put his computer inside of that so it had the carrying handle. But that's the thing, like everybody kind of invested in it. Like I
Yeah, and
see it.
even like what
Yeah,
when we were
totally worth
kids,
it.
and you used to have your friends over to play console gaming.
Another good example. One thing Nintendo was awesome for was when their systems came with like 4 controllers, as opposed to now where they come with one because they just know that dude, you're not getting friends. Just here, go play
No, it kind of
Assassin's
reminds
Creed.
me. I'm not sure if I've sent you this thing, but there's like a phone conversation where a dude's like, "Hey man, you want to come over, smoke some weed, and play some video games?" And dude's like, "Hey man, I'm your weed dealer. What the fuck?" And he's like, "Well, closest thing I have in my life to friendship." And the dealer's like, "Oh fuck it, dude, I'll come. Need me to bring anything? Yeah, an extra Xbox controller."
Fuck, that's funny. That reminds me of like every lone wolf '80s action movie, like Six String Samurai, where there's always like that one kid who's got nothing else to do, so he just follows the protagonist and becomes good friends with him just because. It's like- By the way, it's an awesome campy movie. If you've never seen it, Six String Samurai. Think if
No, I
like
haven't.
Buddy Holly was a samurai in Mad Max. Oh, with Russian, not bebop, like Russian '50s surfer music as like the theme.
Fair
It's the
enough.
weirdest thing ever. I enjoyed it though.
Yeah, but those campy movies, like, have you seen the Sharknado ones?
I haven't Sharknado. I have not seen. I've only seen like clips.
Yeah, you have to watch it. The first one is awesome.
Oh, that's the one with
Because-
Tara Reid, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's kind of like you have those movies that are funny because, like, the porn movie Pirates. It was like it had a huge ass budget. They were actually going to try and make porn like a real movie, so you have porn actors that's in there trying to act and shit.
Oh, Pirates.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
remember that one.
And it's kind of that feel where they're taking this really seriously, and it just ends up being hilarious. Versus the movie that knows, yeah, this is kind of ridiculous, but we know. I'm not sure if I like that nod and wink in movies as much now as I used to.
Dude, I hate the nod and the wink. I like it better when it's unironically just doing what it does. Like Commando was
Yeah, it's like-
campy, but I enjoyed it because nobody gave you a wink in that.
Yeah, but the same thing. You have a movie called Hobo with a Shotgun.
Oh, the Grindhouse. I love that one.
Yeah.
The open goriness, because that was they were literally trying to recreate those old campy ones with that one. And what was the zombie one with Rose McGowan? That was the other one. Fuck. Whatever. I can't remember. But dude, there would be so many movie watching parties. One of my old college buddies, he was like a film nerd. And he would expose me to all this stuff and just be 6 of us sitting here watching a movie. It was really campy. Don't take it too seriously. You riff on it. The movie became like a galvanizing thing, like another male space. Which is another thing I kind of like about creating male spaces, just how easy they are. Like, dude, you and I just sit here talking about how everybody else is a piece of shit but us. And now look at it. 194 guys in here hitting the like button and watching it. It's like, that's how easy it is, guys. If we can do
Only
it,
80
anybody
of them
can do
hit
it.
the like button.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I do actually love the movie The Office, even though that kind of breaks against what we just said. But I just like The Office because it's so typical of that age.
Oh, you mean like the American one?
No, not the Office. Oh, I'm mixing things up. The Office, the British one is good, and then what I was thinking about was Office Space, the movie.
Oh, yeah. That one's good. Were they very self-referential on that one? I thought they played it pretty straight. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, they
though.
did.
But yeah, whatever. Yeah, so they played it sincere. Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, it's a great examples. But that's the point. Like, you can make a space just on stupid shit like that. The thing that I like too is, and this is going to be a sex here, let's talk about sexual strategy. Do you know how guys are always talking about that fucking Pareto principle? As if, well, I'm not top 20% of Chad, so I'm never going to get a girl ever. And then you explain, like, it's not meant to be a worldwide Pareto principle. Like, a girl in Chennai, India doesn't give a shit if you're top 20% in New York. It's just on whatever, like, localized social structure you have. And then in, like, all these male spaces, they're all, like, small little social structures. And if you can't be top 20% on, the volleyball team, you could be top 20% on this one and this one, make your own. It's like, I think it's wonderful. You can make 15 different male spaces on 15 different categories of something. And eventually in all of them, some girl's going to try and invade it. And if you're top 20%, you can fuck her. And she'll eventually destroy the space. And you just go make another one. Carolina Hermes, great example. The black pill guys. They're just sitting there bitching about women and how Rolo's an asshole. Girl joined that one. I guarantee you, whoever was at the top of that one, well, could have. Could have fucked her. Probably didn't, but whatever. Red pill too. All we did was talk about it like the He-Man Woman Haters Club. We had tons of girls that love to lurk and read everything. Weren't you just bragging yesterday even, Carl, that you're like completely anonymous? Meanwhile, you've got nudes in your DMs?
Yeah, it's weird. Don't get me started. It wasn't a brag. It's like I'm genuinely curious about what the fuck that's about.
Oh, that was a real question. I thought you were just setting Rolo up to talk about his article.
That was a genuine question.
Dude, when I got it on Reddit, it was the same thing. A lot of the mods got it too. We used to show the photos to each other. It was really funny. It's just that literary thing. Like girls, that's why they buy smut in like, vampire fan fiction. They just get off on words way more than they do on visuals. And so the fact that all you gave is words, you're the equivalent of a chick who goes on Twitter and just posts photos of her like holding her nipples and being just tits out everywhere. Like no content, don't even put her face in the shot, just tits and ass. You're the female equivalent of that.
Yeah, I just found it to be really weird, and I was like, what the fuck is this about? I just thought it was really strange.
Yeah. It's how girls fantasize about things. That's my favorite part about this space, by the way. I love when practical examples of shit come out. Because guys will be like, yeah, I know, guys and girls aren't different. Well, yeah, but you see, girls just got attracted to like an avatar that's nothing but words on a page. Well, what? That makes no sense. Really? I thought guys and girls were different. Well, yeah, but I didn't mean in an actual way. I just meant abstractly. I'm like, right. I'm not shitting on you either, Carl. But there's like so many examples of that. Like reward good behavior, don't reward bad behavior. Meanwhile, they're like, yeah, my wife was being a bitch, so I assumed it was a comfort test and I hugged her. It's like, why did you just reward her being a cunt to you? Like, I don't know. I didn't think about it that way. It's like, yeah, well, what am I going to do? I got nothing.
I think with male spaces, it's just about taking the initiative. Same thing with girls. Same thing as with girls. You have to actually, someone has to initiate something in order for it to happen.
Ooh.
And most people just aren't comfortable being the initiator. And there's some cultural funny things to it too. Like I kind of discovered when I moved that calling someone or texting someone at like 5:00 and being like, hey, you want to hang out in an hour? Mm-hmm. That doesn't fly here because even if people aren't doing anything, they want to appear like they're doing something and aren't sitting at home alone with nothing to do on a Friday.
Oh, so you need more heads up for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's like a heads up thing 2-3 days in advance, or at least a day in advance.
Oh, that's too bad. Just trying to signal that you're busy, getting out of the way of what could otherwise be like a lot of fun to have. Although I guess that's another good part about having it as a male space because it's like structured time. So you don't have to worry. You can dodge that entire topic. It's like, yeah, squash on Thursdays. So you set your Thursdays aside, or Saturday morning. Saturday, 9:00, I'll see you there. We never have to worry about like, oh, am I going to look like I got nothing else to do? It's like, I can schedule around it.
And I kind of like scheduling things too, just for a convenience perspective, because I forget shit.
Me too. I'm sick.
I have no idea how I manage my life before on the Outlook calendar.
My girl keeps telling me to get on that. I want to, but then the problem is I have my phone on silent because all these social media apps constantly like steal my attention. So I miss all the appointments on the calendar now. And I don't know how to get around this.
I just killed the social media notifications on
I
my
do,
phone.
but they figured it out. I don't know what it is, but like there's a Chinese one, AliExpress. I do sometimes when I want to buy some like random cheap shit online in China. I turn those notifications off for it every month, and then every month they find out another way to invade my notifications, and it drives me nuts. And I swear to God, Twitter's the same way. It's at the point now that even the browser, like this stupid browser I'm working on now, Brave, which is supposed to be way better than Google, will still send me stupid notifications that, hey, remember that throwaway Reddit account you made 6 years ago? Well, somebody just responded to your thing. And I'm just like, trying to work here. Like, fuck, man.
Yeah, but what I've done, I just turned off notifications on all my social media. Just I have my email I kind of have to have, but I just turn it off on weekends. And then everything with Twitter, Facebook, everything is just turned off.
Yeah. I
And
don't
I
know. The
just
email one,
check it once a day.
maybe just because of what I'm doing now. But now with the email ones, it drives me nuts too.
Yeah, but I used to have like the Carl account on my phone for a little while.
Ooh.
And that was like, people don't realize how important activity continuously is to the Twitter algorithm. So you have to tweet ideally every day and in volume in order to get a lot of use. But once you're there, which I was at that point, like my phone, it was having a fucking vibrator in my pocket.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane. And then I found out on my other account, the one just for the book, I don't tweet on there every day. And it sends me notifications not from the people that I follow, but hey, these are some random people you might like. They literally just like throw random shit at me of stuff that I have no interest in, just hoping that something will get me on the platform. And even every time I turn it off, it somehow finds its way back, and it's just fucking annoying. So now I'm at the point where I try to act like a Luddite. My Gmail, I have to set up so many email rules just to like remove shit that I realize like, why am I even checking email then? 99% of things I've just moved to the spam folder. So like, I'll just turn it off at that point.
That's a good plan. But for me, it's just the phone is constant attention stealing. So I've started to do that at dinner parties too. Like everyone has to put their phone in a basket in the entrance.
Ooh. That's like the old PUA game. Remember that one where you put all the phones on the table and the first one to grab their phone pays for the drinks?
Fair enough. No, I just did it because I do it myself. People just keep constantly checking their phones, and it's really disrespectful to do that in a conversation, and it's not conducive to good conversation while you're eating if everyone's on their fucking phone.
I agree. It's weird too because we're old enough. I remember when like Spaces was it had to be social. There was no phone, and when it was a flip phone, nobody's gonna sit there on their flip phone all day. You actually still took calls. I feel bad for the kind of guys who became like socially mature right at the time that cell phone like smartphones were a thing because they kind of missed on knowing what it's like. Ooh.
Yeah, they also kind of missed out on being able to just stay out. People not being able to reach you is actually kind of nice.
Super nice. People, I notice how people are getting mad about it now. Hey, I sent you something on Facebook. I'm like, I haven't checked Facebook in 4 years, man. Ah, well, you don't like me anymore? I'm like, what? I have your number. Just fucking call me.
Yeah, I had to have that conversation with a friend of mine who got on Snapchat.
Oh, he's mad
And
that you weren't on Snap with him?
no, I'm on Snap, but it was just he had this habit of like sending like 5 minute long videos on there. And the way the platform works, you have to watch all those fucking videos in order to see the next message.
Oh. Oh, that's fucking
And
annoying.
dude, and he's like, "Why haven't you responded to my Snapchat messages?" I'm like, I'm not watching like half an hour of video from your latest vacation."
It's like in the 50s, that old meme about people would go on vacation and then set up the old Kodak slide projector and show off photos that nobody wanted to watch, but they're just there to be nice. I'm not
Yeah, it's
going to
the exact same
Cynthia's. They're
thing.
going to talk about fucking Hawaii. Whatever. You got to do it. Just get drunk. I think that's the other thing, too, with the spaces, is that I know it's an environmental change. Like, access is pervasive. It's very easy to contact anything and to stay in your interest thing, but we're definitely losing a part of, like, localized social interaction.
I think so too, and I think the
Yeah.
biggest thing with that is if you're socialized by the internet and by TV, you won't grow up with the correct cultural perspective of the culture you're actually living in.
Oh God, that's true.
And I think that's a big one because let's say if you're European and you're raised on American television, like the culture around dating in the US and Europe is radically different.
I'm starting to wonder if that's fucked the spear too, or the sphere. Because I was thinking about this. How much of like the stupid takes in the sphere are either like former or current fundamental religious types that have really fucked up views about sex and women? I'd say it's a good chunk of it, right?
Yeah, probably.
And
Christians
when I
don't
get
like people
online,
having
like,
fun.
yeah, and when I'm online, I'm like, oh my God, this is a fucking pandemic. And then I go outside. Jesus has never come up in any conversation I've had in the last 30 plus years outside of the internet. It's just strange that it's such like a strong thing there to the point where people are arguing how they literally want an 18-year-old virgin wife in a cornfield. And I hate how it's so easy because then that's all I see at work. It's all Rolo sees. So now Rolo has to put out like a 4-hour video on why that guy's a fucking idiot. When anybody who just went outside to go to the beach for an afternoon could have told you that.
Well, it's the same thing I told you with the when I did my dates in the middle of the Me Too epidemic.
Oh yeah. Love that example.
And that was that was when my eyes were open to the fact that, okay, there are obviously a lot of people in this space that are selling a false reality. They're selling a reality where you have to buy their course in order to navigate the minefield of dating. Hey, dude, back when, like 10 years before I was born, they were still doing fucking shotgun weddings.
People I went to high school with had arranged marriages. I remember a lot of this stuff.
And I think it's kind of hilarious when you have that kind of thing with arranged marriages and really strict culture at the same time that the Muslim girls are doing anal so they can preserve their virginity for marriage. Catholic girls do that too, though, so it's kind of hilarious.
I was gonna say it's like a nice. If they took the Catholic girl meme and then they added like brown skin to it. They brown washed it.
And it's kind of like the Mish says the same thing when you hear about his stories in a very, let's say, repressed country.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same everywhere. And it's kind of, though, that duality of identity, I find that very interesting to see, like, okay, what is our identity up top that we want people to see, and what are we actually doing?
Well, yeah, you talked about it. The Japanese did it, didn't they? Where they have
Yeah.
multiple identities: the work one, the private one, the family one. I think that was the three.
Yeah, something like that.
And then you also talked about it with like wrestlers who buy into their own mark, where you change your legal name to be Warrior, as opposed to like Hulk Hogan knows he's actually Terry and he's just fucking his buddy's wife.
Yeah, I think even for relationships with men, that element is going to be important. Like, no one likes to hang out with the dude who is always a know-it-all. Like,
Yeah.
I've found that helping guys out or teaching them something that they need to know in that moment, that's appreciated.
Yeah.
Always being the guy who has to be the contrarian or the guy who always has to top the last story. Like, there are annoying traits you can kind of get rid of there too.
Oh, 100%. And I get it. It comes from like a good place too. Like the guy just wants a rapport. Oh, you did this? Well, I did this. You did this? Well, I did this too. And the idea is like, yeah, we're vibing. The other guy's like, fuck, can I do anything without you doing one thing better? I think at the end it kind of has that insult to it. Like when a guy bitches about his wife, where he thinks it's like, yeah, that's just me telling funny stories and laughing it off. And everybody else is like, why are you shit talking your wife so much, dude? Right in front of everybody. Just has the opposite effect. It's missing that calibration.
Yeah, like I remember one dude from, ironically, World of Warcraft. I spoke to a couple of guys from his guild, and they were like, yeah, he just sits in our Discord all day bitching about his wife.
If you hate her so much, why don't you just murder her? Actually, wait, don't say that. On the off chance that the guy's like, oh yeah, good idea. Oh shit.
And I kind of think that aspect there, and we've kind of gone on and on about that too, but the fact that you have to put don't eat paint warnings on everything, I think is also partly because a lot of these guys haven't had the necessary male spaces growing up.
Yeah.
So they
I guess
can't
that's
tell
literally
that.
the don't do that that your buddy should have told you when you were going to do something stupid.
Yeah, there's a lot of that sarcasm doesn't come across a lot. So when Ryan's like, "Yeah, if you hate your wife so much, you should just go ahead and kill her." There's a ball peen hammer in the basement.
Yeah. I'll set up some templates for some Aztec skin art. You'll love it. It's so in vogue right now. I know. I just hate it's. Maybe it's the military in me, but that teaching to the lowest common denominator thing, that was something I like promised myself outside of the military environment I would never indulge again. And I hate how the internet is bringing up like, but they got a point, man. Some people are really that stupid.
Well, you
But
kind of have to some extent, because I mean, I'm not sure why, but at some point we became responsible every time someone who part of the audience does something stupid. And that's acceptable to a certain extent. Like, let's say you got banned off Tinder because you thought it was a brilliant idea to mass send "I want to come on your tits and make you my girlfriend" to 300 girls. I'm not saying that someone
speaking,
did.
of course.
Hypothetically, that the guy who told you to do that is responsible for giving you some pretty shitty advice.
yeah.
But more like if it's some kind of joke that, and I will say that at some points I kind of wonder if we have some like parody accounts in this space that are so fucking good at it that we can't catch that they're actually a parody account.
Funny you mentioned that. Chesty did that for a while. He changed his Avi to like a Christian thing, and he started to like unironically like satire the dumbest shit here. And he got fucking pissed after like a month of that. He's like, none of you guys are fucking getting it, and you think it's awesome. Like, what am I doing here? And I've never laughed so hard in my life on that shit. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Everybody's looking for another dad, and they'll follow fucking anybody. What else can I tell you?
Well, it's like I do love, because parody accounts, I think they're or satire accounts are best. They either have to go completely fucking outlandish, or they have to be so subtle that you can barely notice it when you start to read more of the content. You kind of, yeah, this is some guy who's fucking with us.
I'd be curious though. If anybody in the audience knows an account like that you're not sure of, send it to me. I'm genuinely curious. I would love to do a deep dive. And I don't know about this Waffles guy. They're telling me, I guess Troy and James Tusk are talking to some black pill dude named something Waffles. I have a feeling they're going to try and talk him into not being autistic, and he's going to talk them into why it's a good thing. But I don't know. You guys are watching it, so I guess point achieved. Whatever.
Well, partly kind of like trying to talk someone out of psychosis. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. Oh, now you're
Like,
going
if
after
you've
the
ever-
psychotherapy angle. Can't talk people out of crazy.
No, it's just the take on it. Like, you have to actively do something more than talk to fix a psychosis. But I've always kind of like the Nietzsche quote, like when you stare into the abyss stares back at you, or whatever.
Right.
Kind of that same thing. Because if you start to kind of put a bunch of this together, you have like, if you show me your 4 closest friends and I'll show you who you are, that type of deal. Or if you hang out with 4 millionaires, you'll be the 5th one soon. Because there's a lot of truth to that your male group will influence you in a positive or a negative direction. So picking the right ones is very important. And as a side note, I just figured out why therapists are crazy. They just hang out with crazy people all day.
You think that's it? See, I always took it to being the same reason that like girls were always in psychology majors when I was in college and dating. It's because they want to like, I need the keys to understand people's minds. They think they're going to go in there and learn how to like hypnotize people and make them give you money and shit until they find out it's just boring research. And then they quit college to become a stripper and then leave it after 5-6 years and start a family in southern Vancouver. Hypothetically speaking, of course. All right, okay. Okay, it's a story. Chick,
Okay, this stuff good. 2 seconds, there's a funny one in chat.
Okay.
Dante apparently just called Tom Torero and Mystery not good looking, and then he just watched them start to describe how good looking they are.
Oh, this is that stupid black pill guy. I don't know, man. Like I hate Rolo is absolutely right. They are men that have been raised as defective women because they're looking at guys as looks maxing. So they think blank slate. They think girls only care about a guy's looks. They don't realize that girls have like they're attracted to status and resources and looks and all these different things and emotions. Meanwhile, guys are mostly visual. And they just think chicks, I guess they're so unexperienced with chicks, they just think a girl is a guy without a dick with a set of tits. And sociopaths, I guess. Which, whatever, weird take, but I guess if you've never met one before, I couldn't blame you for thinking that.
No, but I think the looks maxing thing is just, I think it's a convenient, I think they know it's not true, but it's a convenient excuse.
Well,
It's like,
deep
you remember
down,
that,
I think they have to convince themselves. I think it's a self-delusion thing, which I guess means they know it's not true, but they have to convince themselves it's not. It just happened. I think it's exactly the same as when a chick says it just happened. It didn't just happen, but if she believes that, then she feels better.
yeah, it kind of reminds me of I'm not sure if you, was something called true forced loneliness. It was like the early days of inceldom.
I remember that. Holy shit,
And
that takes me back.
yeah, it was fucking almost 20 years ago, I think. But the funny thing there was whenever someone would put out one of those videos, it was like, and you look, okay, there are about 15 things you could fix here that has nothing to do with your looks. Don't wear a shirt with mustard stains on it when you're performing in front of a camera. Number 2, brush your fucking teeth. Clean up the pile of pizza boxes in the corner.
Yeah. Some of it about directly being attractive, some of it is just having enough self-dignity that like puts you in a better mindset, because the kind of guy who's a slob and doesn't give a shit just doesn't care about social signals, and they don't realize how much those social signals affect how they're being treated. I think that's why they get mad though. So what directly about putting this pizza box in the garbage is going to get me laid? And you have to like explain that whole process. But then at that point, you're describing how walking is take your left foot, put it in front of your right foot, and then do it the opposite next time, and then repeat, and then you're walking. And I hate when you get into that level of discussion. And then you realize,
Yeah, and you,
fuck, this guy should have just been like meat fodder for a fucking siege, you know?
well, it's kind of like going back to that Jordan Peterson wash your penis.
Or who was the other one? Was it D'Angelo who had the
Yeah.
this is how you trim your balls or whatever?
D'Angelo, I remember that one. I remember like laughing a bit when I first saw that one, because like he has like a 20-minute segment in one of his videos where he kind of explains how to wash yourself while you shower.
And I always thought when I heard about this, I haven't actually seen it yet, but I always heard about it. It sounded like he was one of those, like he got frustrated that he had the 7th client in a row that didn't know how to shower, and so he put this out as like a cathartic thing. But the more you
Well,
talk about it, the more I think like maybe he was on to something, and I think he
I
knew
think it's
it.
a bit of both, because it's kind of like Rolo too, because we joke around sometimes behind the scenes that Rolo's written the same article about 11 times. And the reason why that happens is just because he'll write an article, then someone will be, well, you didn't talk about this specific thing. And then he'll put out another article about the same topic explaining that specific thing.
Yeah.
Then you have another dude who's like, well, you didn't talk about this specific thing. That's just me. And then, okay, Rollo's like, okay, I'll put out another article. And
That's been him for 20 years now.
yeah,
That's why he's got an article for fucking everything.
And it kind of reminds me of like, remember I argued with a corporate lawyer at one point about something I was alleged to have done. Mm-hmm. And my whole argument that got me off was, well, you didn't specifically say that was against that rule that's in the company ethics policy.
And you mean the lawyer didn't even think to pull any spirit of the law shit? I mean, whatever. Yeah.
I did, but it's very hard to argue when it's like, well, in the spirit of this law, and then you can do reductio ad absurdums with that. So it's very hard to argue against if you're debating with someone who has a very vested interest in getting off.
Yeah. You know what's funny? That's the exact analogy I think perfectly explains why I hate people who ask if you have a source, a cited source for that, a peer-reviewed source, that dueling research paper shit. there's like such an easy way to dance around that by using words. I think that's why chicks love making those arguments in sexual dynamics about research papers, because they just love some flimsy shit that they can argue with. It's like a guy putting one of those training buddy like punching bags in his room just so he can punch it every now and again when he's bored. I think that's what they do with research papers.
Well, I just
Bob.
think it's
That's what they were called, Bob.
Bob. What?
Oh, it's like a punching bag. It was like a wave
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the bottom of
Oh,
the
yeah, I know
water.
what you
Yeah.
mean. Yeah, the punching Bob. I still think it's weird to have that in your apartment.
I don't know. At this point, I'll take it. I used to have one, not the one with the guy on it though. I just had the one with the hitting bag. I used to use that for Taekwondo all the time. It was awesome because it had more give than the big chain ones, and so you didn't have to worry about breaking your ankle every time you wanted to kick the thing a couple times.
No, for me, it's more like I can understand having one if you have a home gym, but but in non-COVID related situations,
Oh, yeah. In that case,
don't
yeah, you got to
don't be the dude that have like the punching bag and then the free weights in his fucking bedroom.
That's right up there with a tap out shirt when you're at the bar. That's right up there.
What was the?
Or I was trying to think what's
What's
another
the-
good example.
No, I was thinking about this shirt because there's a shirt I saw with like, the design for the FDNY Stay Back 50 Feet thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Some dude had a shirt like that with just tap out or something on his back. And then like someone with a chokehold on the front.
Very tough. That's like having a shirt that says alpha male on the front, and then like I don't fuck fat chicks on the back.
I bet you can sell a couple of hundred of those t-shirts.
I have no doubt. Rich has been busting my balls forever to start doing merch, and I kind of want to, but I just. It feels like it's one of those like, all right, I give up on you guys. Don't fuck. Here's some merch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I can kind of get because you did have the sunglasses up there.
Yeah. I tried that for a
but-
bit. It was kind of fun, but I just wasn't feeling it.
Well, because I can kind of justify the sunglasses because it wasn't merch that made you uglier. Same thing with like the tactical soap thing. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't great merch, but at least we know the guys are fucking showering now.
Yeah, they're showering now. It actually did smell good. I still use the stuff. I do like it. My girl still hates the black one, the Bond, because it scums up the tub and sticks to all her makeup. But other than that, like it's something I would use myself. I think that's the problem with merch is a lot of guys don't want to use it themselves. Like, do you think I'm going to walk around town, go to grab some sushi with a t-shirt that says "Whammon ain't shit"? Fuck that. Not a
think the
chance in
one you-
hell.
The one you have to, if you were doing t-shirts, you'd have to do the "Don't Step on Your Dick" one.
Oh, yeah, don't step on. Dear God, it's like Animal House. Here, go outside with like, yeah, shit, pussy, dick. You'll love it. Somebody be like, do you write for South Park? Well, then now get the fuck out of here. What the hell is this? I don't
But
know.
I think that's kind of the biggest problem with most merch, I'd say, for this space, because have like a polo shirt that looks like the lacrosse one, but with the T-Rex instead of the crocodile.
Yeah. But I kind of like that because it would be its own thing. I could see myself wearing that because I don't got a problem wearing like, goofy, ostentatious shirts for some reason. Fuck, I love this
And
shirt.
it just comes down to like, yeah, that would be a great shirt. Just be normal.
Just be unironically just be normal. That'd be fun. But I mean, I guess that's part of like a male space too. Like a uniform is a good thing. The military, police, Boy Scouts, like a lot of male spaces had uniforms, and it did add to a camaraderie. Like it was one less place for what's the word for it? Separation to
Uniform?
occur. Yeah, with the
uniforms make everyone equal. It's kind of the same argument for school uniforms, that if everyone has the same school uniform, then it will kind of eliminate social class as an element.
Yeah. Which, and I don't know how relevant that is anymore, but I still admit, like, I didn't see harm in it. I saw it better. Then you never had to worry about, like, nobody would ever be made fun of for wearing the exact same uniform. Unless you just pulled it out of your wallet and it was wrinkly as shit. But that was more of a competence thing. It's like, can't you take care of your kit? Yeah.
Yeah, I think uniforms are useful. I just can't see any merch you could do that would be obviously merch and wouldn't make the guys uglier.
Oh, exactly.
It's kind of like the same thing with rich. I haven't seen his merch, but I'm pretty sure hitting on a girl in a T-shirt with a picture of Rich on it that says "Be your
Chase
best
excellence.
self"
Oh yeah.
or "Chase excellence" or "Becoming the alpha" on it. That wouldn't. I wouldn't want to hit on a girl wearing that. It's
No.
not to shit on Rich or anything. It's just a matter of. I don't think. I think it's going to be pretty obvious to the girl that you're socially awkward if you walk up there with a Ryan Stone shirt that says "Just be normal" or "Don't eat paint."
Me on the front doing like a soy face with vector graphics. Oh fuck, that'd be fucking. There's my legacy that I'm passing down to the generations before and after. Then again, I guess that's where we're at now. What's your legacy? And I'll show them the video of Whammon ain't shit. Like, there you go. Look at this chick on TikTok. What a fucking idiot. I was like, fair point.
Yeah, I think like 2, 3 generations ahead, and it's like, so what did great grandpa Ryan do? I sat on the internet all day saying whammon ain't shit.
Yeah, here's his counter to a takedown video where somebody called him gay for 4 hours, where he gives an itemized list of why he's definitely heterosexual.
And that's another good reason to be anon, by the way, because I don't have to worry about anything. Someone searching my name and then suddenly some of this shit shows up because I've said some pretty. I've had a lot of references to the early 1900s Austrian painter scene up here through the years.
Well, I think the trick is you got to find, like, you got to get lucky and have the same name as somebody more famous than you. Like, it turns out for my name, there's actually like 3 people way more famous than me have just blasted. And they cover the first 5 pages of Google search. So even if you knew me, it'd be hard as hell to find me.
Yeah, because especially with the I still think the Ryan Shecklestone meme is amazing, but imagine like 5 years from now you're trying to get a job or something, and that has the #1 hit on Google.
Oh my God. Oh, who does have that? There is somebody that has that now. I think it was Pat. Oh no, Pat Stedman. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Imagine that, dating coach, entrepreneur. First thing that pulls up, the first man charged in storming the Capitol and thing 1 month before he absconded to a different country.
Oh, he actually got out of the country.
Well, that was his point, his plan. He had his new baby. His wife just had the kid, and then they were going to move to Poland and live tradcon lives or whatever. And like 3 months before he was ready to move, he did the January 6th shit in the Capitol.
Yeah, yeah.
Televised breaking the law, got arrested for it. For terms of bail is he had to give him his passport. So, and this is kind of getting back to the point of like guys who are congruent with their brand. It's like if that was your brand, why the fuck would you go there to protest the Trump thing? Like your whole point was to move with the family to Poland, right? And I think you notice that with a lot of brands who talk a lot of shit but don't live it, is that eventually they kind of out themselves. And I feel bad because a lot of guys will follow anybody's advice online, and then imagine following a guy like Pat Stedman for a year, and then finding out he's just a dork who likes to feel good and end up screwing up his life plans, probably fucking over his kid, and his wife's probably none too happy about it either. But you're so ego invested in that, you would rather like defend that than realize maybe I hitched onto the wrong horse. I'm gonna go find me another horse or just do my own thing. And so that's why I kind of like the male spaces are good, but you have to be so discerning about them. Because that, whatever Stedman's male space is a bunch of guys who treat all that shit as a virtue now. And they're worse off than when they started.
Yeah,
Or
you
one
have
of
to
the
keep in
various,
mind, like,
yeah. Oh, sorry, keep going. I'm just going to ramble a
yeah,
bit more.
I was just going to make like a gay joke about when Pat gets locked up, someone's going to be invading his male space.
Ah, right in the pooper. I like the goatsy reference. Yeah. So I guess if I had to leave, I guess we're only 7 minutes left here, so we'll just banter afterwards. But I'm done this. The male space thing is important. Personally, I don't trust other people to do it half-ass decently. But if you don't have punch in the face authentication, I wouldn't trust a guy. That's, by the way, punch in the face authentication is where if I can't punch you in the face, then I don't have that level of trust. You need a proximity thing, right? But just make your own.
Yeah.
It's not hard. People are so desperate to follow things. You could start up a squash club or a drinking club or a movie night club. Fuck, even Reddit used to have like Reddit meetups all the time. You could literally say, I'm going to go to a board game bar and play Monopoly. And like 5 guys who are desperate for friendship will come and join you and just build your own little social network space. It's not fucking hard. It just takes a little bit of balls and some planning.
And it's actually quite enjoyable once you have them established. And you can tell a well functioning one very quickly.
Oh, for sure.
And once you build that level of. Because it's kind of like the same argument I made with guys who are new money. They haven't been trained to spot gold diggers and how to deal with gold diggers and people who want to take their money away. It's one of the big differences between old money and new money is that old money, they're trained from the day they're born. People are going to want to take your shit. You need to protect your shit. People are going to go after your money. So new money is much more vulnerable to that type of gold digger in the same way that a guy with very little experience in male spaces. I just realized how gay that sounds. But it's just about building a level of discernment so you can tell like who has your best interest at heart and who is just trying to sell you an ugly t-shirt with Coach on it.
Yeah, well, couch. Apparently I'm supposed to put a couch on there. I don't think anybody has your best interest at heart. I think that's the primary concern people need to get through their head. Everybody's self-interested in their own thing. And the idea of a good male space is that it's like mutual value. Hey, you get a place to hang out with like-minded people doing an activity that you enjoy and that you want to be better at. And then I get to hang around people that aren't totally autistic trying to take advantage of me. But like what's that law of power? Appeal to people's self-interest, not their charity.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, start up an awesome WoW guild. If Carl looks at it, I'll probably join that as long as you guys are half decent, or as an example, or some kind of Tekken tournament. I'll join it. Fuck it, why not?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the key here is just starting something and people will join into it. And if not, just find some kind of activity that you find interesting. Like I talked about that in an earlier show, like going to cooking classes to meet women or finding that type of thing to go into target-rich environments where there are not a lot of dudes. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the same thing here. It's finding activities that you find enjoyable and then meeting other people who find those activities enjoyable. If you hate, let's say, rugby or whatever, then don't start playing rugby just to build that male space.
Yeah, do it because rugby is fun, or you want to get better at rugby, or what did Tanner do? The boxing. He's like, I don't want my kids to have a dad that doesn't know about violence. Like literally the Tom Cruise thing, or the Jordan Peterson thing about rabbits. That worked out well. I'm sure he made a friend. At least the guy that he boxed. Afterwards, they could have not a beer together. They could sit there and sip on water together. Or Diet
Yeah,
Coke.
I think I'm just kind of concerned what Tanner's going to come up with when he has to explain homosexuality to his kids.
Explain what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, it's the same level as the alcohol.
Yeah. These things just don't exist here. But Dad, don't exist here. Whatever. It works out for him. I shouldn't even be dunking on the guy. I like the guy.
It wasn't a dunk or anything. It was just a very good opportunity to do a joke.
True. Yeah, I think Carl and I are unified in that Tanner is the one TradCon guy that we can say, yep, that's TradCon. Good man. He doesn't LARP. He doesn't try to build a cabin in the woods. He just builds a bookshelf with his kids, tries to be a good dad, and dresses well, and has a wife.
That would be the best t-shirt, though. Choke till she shits the bed. That would be the best, like, rhinestone.
Dear God. Like, I couldn't even imagine. In China, they'll print anything. They don't even know what the words mean. But imagine trying to, like, it's time to go to the next level. I'm going to put this in like Bed Bath and Beyond as part of their merch thing. They're like, what the fuck are you bringing this to my thing for?
But it kind of goes back to, like, because there was a trend for that back, like, in the early 2000s, I think, where they had those funny t-shirts, where that was a huge trend, and they were supposed to be as offensive as possible.
My girl has a sweater that if you don't like my driving, here's the number, 1-800-EAT-SHIT. I call it her Eat Shit sweater. She's had it since she was like 12, and I fucking hate that thing. And she always wears it when she wants to veg. And I just look at it and I just scowl. I fucking hate it. But yes, that's
Well,
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, like I got refused entry at a club once because I had a T-shirt on during the Kobe Bryant rape case,
Oh,
and it was a T-shirt in Lakers colors with the text on the front, "Kobe is innocent," and then on the back it says, "I raped that bitch."
oh my God. What were you thinking? Other than that's funny, but holy shit, what were you? How did you even find that thing?
On the internet somewhere.
I mean, fair enough. 4chan's making merch. Good on them.
Because
All right.
kind of what happened was here's the problem. I bought like a couple of those goofy T-shirts just to use at home, and then suddenly I hadn't done laundry and I was going out, so I just grabbed the first T-shirt and I didn't really stop to consider that text, so I just ended up wearing it out.
Oh, fair enough. Fuck, that's funny. All right, let's end on that. Actually, yeah, 'cause I got to do Rule Zero in about half an hour. Same topic. It's probably going to be more 10,000 foot level, less anecdotes, but we'll do what we can. I know you probably won't be able to make it, but I'll send you a link anyway. If you can join in for a bit, that's fine. If not, that's fine too.
Yeah, we'll see.
I guess I could tell them, like, buy Gendernomics 1 and 2. Fuck Files is awesome. Links to those are in the description. I don't know, anything to close on, or should I just end it?
Nah, just end it.
All right, guys.